Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just click the link in the show description to support now.
You're locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Rasslin.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Brothers and sisters, again, we are continuing our 8th anniversary celebration for the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast. And I told you we were going to have a special Hall of Famer return. The last episode he was on was such a major episode. Folks from all over the world were sending in their thoughts and really enjoyed listening to what he had to say about his career and all the great things that are happening even to this day. And, you know, we had a conversation. I said, hey, man, you know, let's have you come back and let's continue our conversation, but speak more about some things happening currently in the pro wrestling world. So without further ado, welcome back the Hall of Famer himself, one of the most decorated wrestlers of all time, one of the most decorated tag team wrestlers of all time, most importantly, a great man. We're talking about brother Devon Dudley. How you doing there, Devon?
I'm good. Always a pleasure to be back on your show. A man who tells the truth and how it works.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Listen, I'm telling you, man, the response that we got the last time you were on the show a few weeks back was so tremendous. And the thing that folks really latched onto was the fact that, you know, you aren't traditionally celebrated for who you are. You know, one of the most not only one of the most accomplished wrestlers ever, but one of the most accomplished Black wrestlers ever. And especially as it relates to being acknowledged during Black History Month, a big omission, unfortunately, and a tragedy. You know what I mean? That you don't get your just due, especially during that month. People really spoke to that and felt that, yeah, it's not right. And it's something that needs to be corrected and what have you. For you personally, Devon, do you feel that going forward, we are finally going to see you get your just dues, especially during Black History Month?
I always felt from a biblical aspect that God will give you your glory when the time is needed or when he feels that the time is right for you. And, you know, as angry as sometimes as I was with certain things that I saw, I had to really reach down and go back to that and really catch myself in terms of being angry and go, it's not your time. Don't worry about it. God will see fit when it's right for you to be celebrated. And that's just the way I feel now. So, you know, whenever God's ready for me, I'll do it. You know, until then, I'll sit back and relax and wait for it to happen. There's an old saying in the Black church, which I'm sure you know, your arms are too short to box with God. And I firmly believe if he's fighting my battles, I can't lose.
Well, certainly, not only can you not lose, you've been winning. I mean, you know, we saw you at the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony honoring so many great folks, including Paul Heyman. And next thing I know, we saw you at the draft. I mean, you literally were out there with Bubba, which was an awesome moment to see. How does it feel, man? How does it feel to be back on WWE TV like that?
Well, it feels great. You know, WWE has always been my home. WWE has always treated me very, very good. You know, and I've always been happy and proud to say that I am a WWE guy. I'm loving the new regime that's going on right now. Triple H is doing a fantastic job. I can feel it. You know, the minute I got out the car and started seeing people, I hadn't even gotten inside. Just the overall demeanor of everyone in the building, it's just so different. It's night and day. I can't begin to tell you how happy I was when I saw that, when I started interacting with people, when I started interacting with stage handlers, you know, production people. I mean, you can see the joy on their face coming to work now. And it's been an absolute pleasure to see all that. And then, to actually talk to Triple H personally and, for him to say to a group of us, why is it that when wrestlers leave the WWE and move on to something else, we don't bring them back to celebrate the things that they have done? We need to do that. The old regime didn't really do that. The old regime really didn't care for it. But we're going to start making a difference here. And when that was said, I kind of stood up and applauded inside. I was like, yes. I was like, because a lot of us did not get that welcome that we should have gotten after spilling so much blood, sweat, and tears. We basically got pushed to the side and it was like, okay, you're old news. Now let's move on to something new. When, we weren't old news when we got there, we were putting our bodies on the line and spilling our blood in that ring. But now we're old. No. And the respect that Triple H is given to the company and to the business and to the wrestlers before us is this truly tremendous. And again, him being a former talent, it's great. We always said in the business, if one of the boys could actually be a talent and then work behind the scenes, hopefully, the business doesn't change them getting that pin, getting that power, that they will be able to treat the boys the way they should be treated. And, we can enjoy ourselves, to the fullest. And exactly what we prayed for, in my opinion, is exactly what we're getting right now with Triple H being in charge. I'm a Triple H guy. I've said this once. I've said it before in thousands of interviews. I thank him. I thank him for giving me the opportunity after Bubba and I were done in WWE at the time in 2016, giving me the opportunity to be a producer, which I lasted for the first stint of that for 7.5 years, and I was very proud of it. Listen, under the Vince McMahon era, I didn't think I would be able to last 7.5 years because I knew how stressful it was, working under that regime during that time. You've heard stories that would scare people to want to be a producer. But I lasted and I did it and I hung on. And, now that Triple H is involved, I definitely would be happy to be able to, be a part of that regime and to be respected again and to be honored in that way. So it's really a good time to be in the WWE right now.
I think I heard you loud and clear there. Triple H, the Hall of Famer himself, Devon Dudley, is open for business. So pick up the phone, big man. There's a conversation to be had, and certainly, we fans, those of us out here who have watched you throughout your entire career, it would be awesome to see you in some type of capacity back in WWE. I know you just signed the new Legends deal, so that's great, but we want to see you on TV. We want to see your influence. We want to hear about you mentoring the younger stars there in the company, man. I think that would be awesome. So.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been doing some, I get a lot of the guys that call me. People that I've helped over the years, they've called and asked me for advice or what have you, whether it be the main roster, whether it be NXT. I've had that. So it's been great even dealing with the guys on that aspect. Like I said, I have nothing but the utmost respect for the talent that I used to work with and the talent that I have not worked with. And hopefully I can use the word yet. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. Like I said, you put it in God's hands, you let him put you where you need to be, and that's all that works.
It's interesting, Devon, because the wrestling landscape has changed so much, even over the past 5-6 years. Jesus, over the past year, it's changed. You know what I mean? You brought his name up, Vince McMahon. He's no longer with WWE anymore, and Triple H is handling the wrestling aspect of things. Certainly, Nick Khan is handling the business aspect of things, and it's working. The money, they're making money hand over fist, and the company has never been more diverse. The roster has never been more diverse. The characters have never been more diverse. It truly is a blessing to see what's happening right now in that company. But I do wonder about something. You have AEW, the new kid on the block, Shad Khan, one of the richest people in the world. He allowed his son Tony Khan to create his own wrestling company with a portion of his inheritance. And they've been out there. They've been spending money and giving out big contracts and doing all these things. They got major distribution on TV. That's another place that a person could work at. And certainly in wrestling, having options is not a bad thing. But I've noticed with you, Devon, you've kind of stayed away from that, at least from what we can see. We haven't heard of you working with AEW. We certainly haven't seen you on AEW TV or what have you. So I'm just going to ask you directly, and hopefully I'm not putting you out by asking this, but why? Why haven't you been over there and gotten some of that money?
Well, I am friends with a lot of guys in AEW, some who have been in WWE that I've worked with and helped produce their matches, others that I have met that have been AEW homebred. Tremendous locker room, really great locker room group of guys, especially a lot of the new guys that I've met for the first time, whether it be on the Jericho cruise or autograph signings or what have you. But I was contacted 3 different times by the gentleman QT Marshall, but he contacted me through my sons, who was training down at the training facility in Atlanta. And I recommended them if they had the opportunity to go down to there because of Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn, who I consider a great friend of mine and also one of the smartest men in the business. At one point, pretty much helped run Team 3D Academy that was in Kissimmee at one point when Bubba and I was on the road and he wasn't. So, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Billy Gunn. So when I found out that he was pretty much helping to run the developmental down there with QT Marshall and Dustin Rose at the time, I told my boys, I said, go. I was like, you're going to learn a lot from Billy Gunn and Dustin. I was like, that's the place to go. Those are veterans. You can't go wrong there. So apparently QT went through my boys and said, listen, I have this idea and I don't know, but we were wondering maybe if your father would come in and this would probably help you guys get more established quicker within the company. If he would come out with you guys during your matches, whether it be a manager or maybe even wrestling, and, help you guys get established and help you guys get over. So when my sons called me, I said, Terrence and Terrell, I don't know. I went out there and said I officially retired. I wasn't sure if I wanted to come back and things like that. And I told them that. So they went back and talked to QT and he said, yes. He goes, I realized that. But, even if it meant coming out as a manager or what have you, just to help you guys. So when he said that, I said, okay, I said, but here's the deal. I'm looking to be more of a producer than I am talent. I don't want to really get back in the ring like that anymore. And not to mention, their style of doing things is a lot different compared to how when I was in the business wrestling and what I see now. And so they invited me to come down to Orlando, which I thought was, was like, okay, I go to Orlando. It's very easy. It's 45 minutes away from my home. I'll go down there and check it out. Well, QT and I, he said Tony wanted to meet with me because he had never met me before. And I said, okay. I said, I'll go down and meet with him and this and that. And I really didn't get to meet him. QT took me to go talk to him. And he was basically on the headset behind the camera, behind the, in the gorilla position. Behind the TV monitors, and I went over there. They brought me over. They said, hey, this is, Tony Khan, this is Devon. I said, nice meeting you, man. He was like, oh, great to see you. I haven't seen you since I was a kid. He says, great to finally get to meet you. I was like, all right, great. Thank you. And I just remember I looked at QT. I was like, what does he mean by that? And then I found out that he used to go to the ECW arena all the time. So I called Paul and asked him about it. Paul told me the same thing. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. And he was like, yeah, so we'll talk and this and that. And the conversation never happened. I waited for a little bit and it just never happened. And he was like, yeah, he was like, we're going to talk about this and that because we really don't have a position open for producer. So I said, okay. I said, not a problem. I said, thank you. I said, I was told that was an option. And of course, trying to help my sons. I said, that's the only reason why I came here was to do that. And, so, they told me that, we'll let you know and this and that and so forth and so on. So I said, okay, not a problem. Nobody contacted me. Nobody said anything. So I let it go. Then a little bit later, the boys came to me again and said, hey, QT wants to revisit what we talked about earlier. And I told the twins, I said, listen, I'm not in the mood to play games. If they want to do business, we can do business. If they don't, then no big deal. I'm not knocking on anybody's door to try to come in. And he told him that, and they came back to me and they said, no, they really want to do this. They really want to go forward with this. They want, they want to bring you in with us and help us get over and so forth and so on. I said, okay, only if they're serious. But again, I don't want to wrestle full time. I'm not looking for that. We finally get to the meeting in Montreal and we're talking. And, I expressed to Tony, I did not want to wrestle full time. I'll go in there and do 6-mans and things like that with the twins and let the twins do the majority of the work. Kind of like what Billy Gunn did with his sons. And I said, I would love to do that, but I'm looking for more of a producer's role, something behind the scenes. And he was very adamant on wondering if I still wanted to wrestle. And I remember just looking at him going, yes, I don't mind helping the twins out, but I'm not trying to do singles matches or I'm not trying to go outside of a 6-man. I said, I don't want to put my body through that anymore. And he was like, all right, fine. It seemed like a very positive conversation. And then towards the end of it, we were talking about meeting up again in December, this past December, when they were in Orlando. So I said, okay, fine. My agent got in touch with them. And we set up a date for me to come in. I came in and it seemed that the third meeting was just a waste of time. He was just very adamant on me getting back in the ring and wrestling more than a producer. And he kept saying, well, we don't have any producers roles open right now. And so, but you still want to wrestle with the boys, right? I just went, yeah, man, I don't mind doing that. But at the same token, like I said, I'd rather produce more, be a mentor, help out behind the scenes than anything. And, no, we'll do that. We'll do that. But I'm just saying, because we don't really have any spots open. But it seemed like every single time I was told there was no producer spots open, they hired somebody. First it was Sarah Stockton. Then it was Scotty Tuhati. And then I heard Glacier came in after the meeting in Orlando for a tryout. I don't know if he's still there or not, but I heard he came in for a tryout. I'm like, if there were no roles for producers, then why did you have me come down, number one? And if that's the case, why would you tell me there's no roles when you're still hiring people as producers? I couldn't understand that. And so finally, I just said, you know what? I told my sons, I said, listen, I love you boys to death. I really do. I said, but I can't play these games going back and forth. I've been in this business long enough to not be playing games. If they wanted us to come in, they could have. But then again, what happens if we sign a deal and they just put you on the shelf and they don't use you like they do a lot of talent? I say they hire them. It's like the toy of the month. You play with them and then you put them on the shelf when you're done. I was like, I'm not looking to do that. I was like, to me, if I'm going to help you, I'm going to help you and help get you over. And then once that happens, I can ride off into the sunset and leave it alone, let you guys do what you got to do and work behind the scenes. That's all I wanted to do. I did not want to be in front of the camera anymore there. And again, it just went south. And, I got no hard feelings for Tony Khan or AEW. Again, I love the talent there. I've met a lot of the guys and I think they're hell of a workers. But I'm not too keen on how business is conducted there. Not knocking Tony Khan in any way, shape, or form. I just think that there's a lot of chaos going on, and I'd rather just be with the place that I know that I've been adapted to for so many years. I'd rather be back at a place where I feel comfortable and I know the people and I know how it works, as opposed to a place that I don't know how it works and I don't know what I'm in for. So, again, it's one of those things where, God bless that company and God bless, Tony Khan. And I hope they hit a home run on everything they do, because, again, I love the talent there. I think they're great people. I've met them. And again, we always get along. They're very respectful towards me and the whole nine. And they're busting their behind trying to become a great company. So kudos to those guys. Kudos to the talent. But I just think that in terms of doing business-wise, it's just not for me.
I got to scratch my head at that story because I'm just flabbergasted. First of all, Tony Khan, I'm talking to you, brother, because I know you listen. You had an opportunity to have one of the most decorated wrestlers in the history of the industry, a Hall of Famer, a man who has behind-the-scenes experience as an agent, but a man who has actually been in some of the greatest matches and most talked about matches of all time, including the TLC matches. A man who is a black man, so can speak to all of the challenges going all the way back to his beginning of his career in the 90s and how the business has evolved since then. A man who has a wrestling school, who has trained and developed stars who are on TV today and who are blazing a path where they will be future Hall of Famers, right? Jessica Carr is going to be in the Hall of Fame when she retires. That's how much she's accomplished. And shout out to Jess. She just was the ref of the first main event, first female ref in a main event in WWE history on a PLE. Fantastic. Tony Khan, you had a chance. What's that?
And also, they want to forget Lacey. I think they call her Kendra, the one who's in the tag team that came from with the dreadlocks. She's one of mine. She's one of, you know who I'm talking about?
I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, absolutely.
She's one. Dexter Loomis is one of mine. We've had a lot of people come to Haku's boys, Tafita and Pate, Tonga. They're ours. They're three.
In the hottest storyline in the world today, right?
There you go.
So Tony Khan, you had a chance to get this man who did it in the ring, who did it behind the scenes, who was one of the best mentors out there for wrestlers, one of the best trainers, one of the best developers out there in the world today. You had a chance to have this man in your company, assisting those young people out there who need a lot of assistance, by the way, and you found a way to drop the ball. Brother, when you hear me talk about, I don't know what's going to happen with that company because there's a lack of focus, direction, and leadership. This is the type of stuff that we're talking about. Devon, I had never heard that story anywhere before. So the fact that this is the first time that you're sharing it with the world is amazing to me. But I got to tell you, I'm not surprised because this is par for the course. Well, you could have turned that place around.
I don't know about turning it around, but I definitely wanted to help, and that's what I told Tony in the second meeting in Montreal. I said I wouldn't even mind being an ambassador because there are people when the Attitude Era was over, even when the Ruthless Aggression Era was over, they left wrestling, and they never watched it again. He agreed with me on that, and I said I would love to go around and help spread the word about AEW and, just basically go around whenever you have a live event or pay-per-views or what have you. I wouldn't mind getting on the plane and going to help promote the company and help promote your young stars that you have. I don't want to be in a spotlight in terms of being on camera and things like that. But whatever I have in terms of what I've done in the business, whatever legendary status that I might carry, I would love to, go out and speak very highly of the company and put the company over. I even found out that they were doing something in Orlando with their training. They were doing a training facility, I guess, or something like that in Orlando. And I said, well, I'm 20 minutes away, maybe 30 from where my school is to where you plan on opening this place. I said, I would love to go down there and help out there. I can do both. I can do my school and help out your talent. And whoever needs extra time or what have you, and you need them to be rushed to get ready so it doesn't interfere with what they're doing in Orlando with the other trainers, you can bring them to my school and I'll do one-on-one with them. And there was no response. There was nothing. It was just like, okay, that's a good idea. Great. And that was it. So again, I just, I said, okay, not a problem. No hard feelings. Again, it just probably wasn't in the cards for me to be there. And again, no hard feelings. It is what it is. I might not have been able to fit in there, with him and his organization. And that's okay, because not everybody is going to be able to fit somewhere where they would like to go or like to help. Maybe it just wasn't in the cards for me to be there, but it is what it is. And, again, it made me realize that I'm truly a WWE guy. And, if anything, if I was to work behind the scenes or just be able to mentor anything or anybody to help out with the knowledge that I feel that I have, I can help out in WWE better, or even TNA for that matter. I don't mind TNA either. I went back there to 1,000 episode and had a great time with Bubba. We did it out. We did great. And the talent in TNA was excellent. It really was. They were very, very grateful. They were respectful. They would come to me and Bubba, asking us advice on whether it was tag team wrestling or just being in the business by itself. And we were more than happy to talk with them and tell them, how we did, what we did, the stories, and they were very eager to hear all of that. And a lot of them took it in consideration. So it was one of those things where both welcomed us with, me and Bubba with open arms. Even when we came back for SmackDown and Raw, welcomed us with open arms and basically, was asking for advice. Hey, it was great seeing you guys, and so forth and so on. So, it was cool being back in that atmosphere, where people were looking at us for advice on how to make their careers better. And that was cool for me. That was really cool. And it really gave me a sense of warmth that I felt walking through those doors for SmackDown and Raw. Talent that I have worked with before, new talent that came up from NXT that I didn't see or had the pleasure of working with. And now all of a sudden I'm talking with them, giving them advice. So it was really cool to see that. Again, I realize my time is done. I realize I'm over with, even though Bubba and I make appearances here and there, and we still somewhat get back in the ring and do, little parts here and there. But it's just, to me, it's soothing to help out the younger generation and to get them where they need to be in order to be Hall of Famers, legends, whatever you want to call it. It's our time to pay back to the business that has been so good to us. It's now time to give back.
I'll tell you, first of all, I love that. I love to hear, despite any things that may not go the way that you would hope it could go, you end up in a much better spot in the end anyway. I'll say this again. Tony Khan, brother, I don't know what you're doing, man, but you gotta right that ship. You just lost 2 international streaming partners. They literally have dropped AEW from their offerings because you just don't have the audience that you used to have, and it's not worth it for them. And you got to start asking yourself why that is. You have an incredibly talented roster that, unfortunately, it just doesn't seem like they have proper direction.
I will say this. If Paul Heyman was over there.
Oh, God, yes.
If Triple was there running that place.
Yeah.
That place, it would be unstoppable.
With the same roster. With the same exact roster.
The talent that they have in AEW is unreal. I mean, it's crazy how talented these kids are. And to have the right mentors behind them, giving them advice, helping them, and booking which is the big thing. Booking is the most important thing, and they would be booked right, and they wouldn't have to be put in situations where they were failing or they weren't getting over, and you wouldn't be losing sponsorships. And that's what I love about the WWE right now. You have two of the greatest minds in the business in Triple H and Paul Heyman.
Well, they can't go wrong. I mean, first of all, they just have the largest SmackDown gate in history. They followed that up with the most lucrative arena show in WWE history, which is just incredible to even think about.
And I watched the show in France. Let me tell you something. From the first match to the last match had me, as a person who's been in the business for 33 years, had me biting my nails going, this is freaking great. Loving it. Did not want to leave my TV. And I know these guys. In other words, I know the talent. I know them. And it was incredible. I just talked to Bailey in text message. She texted me and asked me, was it okay to use 3D? And I said, absolutely. It'd be an honor. It'd be my honor if you did that. I was like, you guys are freaking phenomenal. I would love to see how you guys did it. And, for her and Naomi to do that when, was it Tiffany Stratton came off the top rope?
Yes, sir.
After her, what is it, that moonsault she does, and she flips backwards, and to come into it the way she did, it was great. I texted her and said, my God, I said, incredible. I said, you guys tore the house down. To have to follow Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, Sikoa, and Tonga, that match was, in my opinion, was like an ECW match at the ECW arena. It was so good. They had the fans on their feet the entire time. Not one person was sitting down. Chants throughout the whole match. There was not a dull moment in that match. And for the ladies to follow something like that, not that it's impossible, but even some men couldn't do that, to follow a match like that. And it was incredible. And again, from the first match to the last match, I loved it.
It was a great event. It was a great event. The crowd was completely electric. And I agree. In fact, that women's triple threat match was my favorite of the night. I'm very high on all three of those ladies. I think Bailey is one of the most underrated wrestlers ever.
Absolutely.
She is so good. She's a ring general. She's so giving to her opponents and helping them get over and look great in there while still protecting herself. I think we're going to look back on her career and realize, man, we had something so special with her. We should have celebrated her more because she deserves it. She's fantastic. Naomi, what can you say about her? She's decorated. She's amazing. She continues to reinvent herself. The crowd was having a party. It felt like when you talk about old ECW, it reminded me of Al Snow with the head, the way that the crowd was rocking out with Naomi. So that was dope. Right. And Tiffany Stratton, for a kid who's only been wrestling for about 2 years now, she's incredible. Right. Incredible.
And that top rope moonsault that she does, she hops from one, level of the ropes to the other and then into the moonsault. Incredible. It really is. And I met her, and lovely person, really, really nice person. Again, everybody in that roster, people can say, oh, Devon sucking ass. No, I'm not sucking ass. I'm telling the truth. If you weren't in that locker room talking with the talent that's in there now and how they're perceiving everything, then you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know what it's like to be in this new era. And I keep saying this because it has come, and I'm very happy that it has. I'm very happy for those, for the talent that's there. I'm jealous. I'm jealous because I wish Bubba and I was still in our prime and going during this era. But, again, we have nothing to feel shabby about. Great career, great times, and hopefully we can do something behind the scenes that will be even better than what we did as talent.
Now, listen, before I let you go, I got to ask you one more, Devon, because you're letting some stuff out, and I know you don't do a lot of interviews, so I got to ask you before you go, man.
Sure.
CM Punk.
Uh-huh.
Here's a guy who's a veteran. He's been around the block. He's paid his dues. He went to AEW. That didn't work out for him. We saw what happened. Multiple physical altercations in the back. That's been confirmed. It happened. I mean, Tony Khan himself even put the video out of Punk choking the young man over there, which, for me, I'm a square. I'm not a wrestler or anything like that. I come from the corporate world, so I don't like to see that sort of thing. But then you have a guy like Kenny Omega, EVP, who says, hey, I feel that we should be able to fight in the back and things like that. Sometimes you got to do that, which is an interesting concept for an executive to say. But anyway, Punk is in WWE, and every day we're seeing pictures and smiles, and everyone is around him, and it's almost like he's a totally different person in that company. Talk to me about just the difference in atmosphere from your perspective as a veteran when you see a guy who in one company he's being portrayed as, the devil and dangerous, and in the other company he's like the sweetest guy in the world. Like, what is it? Is it him or is it the atmosphere?
I don't know, and I can't say. And the reason why I can't fully say is because I was never a part of the AEW family. So I don't know. But what I can tell you, what I do know, is that for the first time ever, I had met Punk WrestleMania weekend. Myself, along with Dominic Mysterio, we were in the elevator talking. The elevator, my wife and I, and the elevator stopped on the floor, and here comes CM Punk. And I remember I go, hey, how you doing? He said it first. He was like, hey, how you doing, Devon? I was like, hey, good, Punk. How's everything going? I was like, this is the first time you and I have ever met. And we were both, taken back by that, because all the years that he's been in the business and I've been in the business, we've never met until that very moment. One of the most pleasant guy I had ever met, well respected. In other words, he gave me the respect. And, again, I gave it right back to him. Seeing him interact with people, just seeing the smile and his demeanor and attitude now, how he is now in WWE as opposed to when he was in AEW, night and day, just pure night and day. And again, I don't know what really went on over there in AEW. But again, like I said, sometimes you think it could be a perfect fit, and it winds up being the biggest nightmare you've ever been involved with. And I think that's what probably was for Punk. And him coming back home when he cut that promo, that first promo being back on Monday Night Raw in the ring, and when he says he's finally home, I think every bit of himself meant that. He's home now. He doesn't have to worry about any of the things that bothered him before. And again, people knew him before he stepped foot in AEW, and they might have saw a different Punk at that time. But again, we don't know what Punk was dealing with and what was going on through his head, being in that company. When you come from a place like the WWE or any organization that is run like a well-oiled machine, you tend not to want to deal with stuff that doesn't make any sense, or when there's a whole bunch of disruption or
lack of professionalism,
all of that. Thank you. You don't want to deal with it. And, he's expressed that that's what he felt. And if that's what he felt, that's what he's felt. But Tony Khan didn't do anything to help that. I hear that all the time. So it's not just Punk that is saying it. I'm hearing it from other people there. But here's the deal. You have people that praise Tony Khan, but I think they're praising him because of the money that he's shelling out. But when you really sit back and think about, do I think he's a malicious guy, that he does things on purpose to piss people off? No, I don't think that at all. I just think that his years in the business, remember, he was a fan. He was never a business person in the wrestling business. I also believe that Tony Khan doesn't know how to say no to people when he needs to. There's somewhat of a level of a Vince McMahon you have to be in order to keep your ship in order. Now, again, I say that within reason. I don't mean the accusations that came out with Vince, but in other words, you have to be a boss and you have to take charge. Not everybody's going to like your decisions and how you run things. This is your sandbox. You run it the way you see fit, or you run it the way it should run. And that means that you're the decision maker, whether you agree, disagree, or indiffer, it doesn't matter. You're the decision maker. You call the shots and don't let anybody else influence your decision. Because if you worked for WWE when Vince was in charge, that was the case. No matter what you said, you did not influence Vince. If Vince wanted you to do something like this is where it's going to be done, then that was the way it was going to be done. You were not in any way, shape, or form going to change his mind. And that's just the way Vince was. So I feel that that is the case with Tony. Tony's got to get control of his ship, because if not, we're going to see another repeat of WCW. I don't care how much money you have. You got to be able to distinguish friendship and business. And if you don't do that, you're going to lose your company, man. And, I really hope that he can get himself together and really, really make a mark for himself as a boss in this business that, knows what he's doing and taking control. Because if not, it's sad to say, you're going to see a company like that just really not make it anymore, regardless of how much money you have. I mean, who's going to watch your product if it's not good? And again, you got great talent, phenomenal talent that can go through the roof. And again, you've got to be able to run your ship accordingly. And if not, it's going to sink.
Devon Dudley showed up today, folks, and was as candid as you've ever heard him, talking about what's happening currently, which I love. That was a pleasant surprise there, and I really appreciate you circling back for us here, Devon. What's the best way folks can continue to keep up with you and whatever you have going on?
All right. Well, I'm on Instagram. I am at Testify Devon, which is spelled D-V-O-N, and Twitter, Testify Devon, D-V-O-N. I'm on Instagram more than I am Twitter. And my Facebook is private. So unless you're family or friends that I know, I don't accept anybody else on there, because I have private pictures with my families and things like that I don't want to get out, especially with the new baby that I have right now. Very happy. My wife and I celebrating that. And just, the appearances that I do, I have one coming up in New Jersey, coming up in 2 weeks. I do a lot of autograph signings and things like that. And I put everything up on my social media where I'm going to be during that time, just simply because I want to get it out and I want to see the fans and get a chance to talk with them, just like I'm doing with you, and express how I feel about the way the business is now and how I feel about how the business is with my sons and just everything else in general.
And speaking of which, Sunday, June 9th, brothers and sisters, our folks over at Frizzle Promotions is bringing in Devon for the River City Wrestling Con. Okay, so make sure you get out there to St. Augustine, Florida, World Golf Village. Once again, Sunday, June 9th, Devon is going to be there, so you can meet him, get your autograph. I think there's going to be some other goodies that you'll be able to purchase. But the whole 9 yards there, Devon Dudley, the Hall of Famer, you hear him here. Very approachable, great dude. Anytime folks have ever met Devon, they've had nothing but glowing things to say about him, and there's a reason why. I mean, this is a quality human being. Devon Dudley, we appreciate you as always, my brother, and we can't wait to hear from you again soon.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. And hope to be on your show again.
I want to remind you to check out Zencastr, Zencastr. That is my favorite program to use for all my recording needs. And the great part is, not only do they have audio, but they also have video options as well. So whether you're video conferencing, podcasting, just catching up with friends and loved ones, you definitely want to check out Zencastr. They have paid subscriptions. They also have a free version, which I'm actually using right now. Transcripts, the whole 9 yards, and even, get this, Zencastr has started to do hosting. So for all you podcasters out there, if you're looking for a host for your show, please consider Zencastr. You will not regret it. I'm telling you right now. Once again, Zencastr. Made on Zencastr. That's right.
This is Jeff of Frizzle Promotions, and you're listen to Duke Loves Rasslin. Celebrities are human beings just like me and you. Celebrities want to be treated like human beings just like me and you. Frizzle Promotions focuses on helping the celebrity build their legacy.
That's an interesting concept there, Jeff. So when you say help the celebrity build their legacy, what do you mean by that? What specifically are the services that Frizzle Promotions offers?
So basically what Frizzle Promotion offers, is a chance for the celebrity to come out and meet and greet the fans. I understand that the fans always want to meet their favorite celebrity, if it's a wrestler, if it's an actor, actress, what have you. We want the celebrity to be comfortable and coming out and basically make sure that they're happy that these individuals are coming to them and giving them their flowers while they're around.
Excellent. Well, listen, first and foremost, Jeff, this is a long time coming. This conversation with you, man, we have some great conversations offline, and I'm very impressed with what Frizzle Promotions is about and what you've been able to accomplish. So officially, welcome to Duke Loves Rasslin, brother.
Thank you for having me on.
Do me a favor and just let folks know out there, who are some of these celebrities that you folks have worked with just over the past 2 years alone? Who are some of the names that people would recognize?
So we have worked with Kurt Angle, Devon Dudley, Karen Parsons. You will know her as Hillary Banks of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Candice Michelle, Melina, X-Pac, The Godfather, Mark Merrill, and a host of other celebrities.
Oh, wow, man. Okay, so you those are some big names there, Jeff. How are you able to attract all of these big names and be able to bring them out to these events so fans can actually meet and greet them?
Sometimes you get to, meet them at these events. Also, sometimes, I might run into like a Mark Merrill or a Godfather, and they may say, hey, listen, there's someone that may be interested in working with you in the long run. And, I received their information and I contact them. And, sometimes, I'm able to bring them out.
When you say bring them out, let's walk through this for a second, because there's so many wrestlers. There are people from the NBA. There are sports writers. There's UFC Hall of Famers. They all have been guests on the show, and they listen to the show actively. So if they're listening to Jeff from Frizzle Promotions for the first time, they want to be booked on the convention circuit. They want to meet some of the fans and, you know what I mean, be able to make a couple of bucks while providing an experience for the fans. What does that look like for them, for the actual celebrity themselves?
Duke, it depends on what the celebrity needs are. If they need a flight or they need a hotel, if they need a car to get them to point A to point B to the event, we provide that. Majority of the talent that come out don't really get that luxury of having, a good flight, a good hotel, because, certain people, are not treated in a way that they should be treated. Some of these people have put their bodies on the line, for not just us, but on themselves, just to entertain us.
Wait a second. Let me get this straight. So you have these wrestlers, and first of all, a lot of these wrestlers are big human beings. they're not necessarily average sized people. So you, if need be, Frizzle Promotions will provide the accommodations for them so they can be comfortable getting to the events and then being able to provide an experience for the fans?
Yes, and usually I'm a type of person that will pick them up from the airport, take them to the hotel, and whatever they need. If they need lunch, dinner, what have you, I'm able to provide that to them and make sure that their experience will be one of the best experiences ever.
From the celebrities themselves, is this unusual? I mean, are other folks in your line of work providing that degree of service to the client?
I say yes and no. Sometimes it's usual, sometimes it's unusual. Sometimes there are vendors out there that'll take their time out and make sure that the celebrity is well taken care of. And then you have some, people that don't even pick them up from the airport. They had to find their way to the hotel, and that's not how Frizzle Promotions does business. We make sure everybody's happy, everybody's comfortable, and at the end of the day, Frizzle Promotions will be talked about in a positive light.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, I've heard stories like that before, unfortunately, of people being booked and they're left at the hotel or their accommodations are not right. In fact, I heard a Jim Cornette, he was going off on the internet about that the other day. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, he and his family have had some issues with that. Even goodness gracious, Yushin Thunder Liger, he was stranded at a hotel at one point as well. So this is a common thing, unfortunately, where you have folks who want to be agents or folks who set wrestlers up with appearances and bookings, and they just fall short. They just don't deliver. But I will say that I've heard nothing but glowing reviews about Frizzle Promotions, and I'm just very curious about this whole concept. Jeff, do you have a background in customer service? I mean, how are you able to stand out so much and be able to deliver on such solid service, not only for the fans, but also for the celebrities themselves?
I have an undergrad degree. It's in mass communications. I went to Delaware State University. I graduated in 2006. And from there, I worked at ESPN for about a year. That was around 2007. And what I did at ESPN, I was a production assistant. Well, with the production assistant, you meet and greet the celebrities. You make sure that they're in the green room, that they're comfortable. I met people from Floyd Mayweather. I met people, from Allen Houston. It's a lot of celebrities that you see every day. So by me meeting and greeting the celebrities, now it's, I'm used to it.
That's awesome. And it's very, very interesting once again. So you're not one of these fanboys who's marking out every time you see a celebrity. You're actually keeping it professional. Always.
That's what you have to do. If you run in the business, you got to make sure your business model, is right. It's correct. You don't want someone to say, hey, listen, you know what? I had an uncomfortable time with Frizzle Promotions.
And unfortunately, we hear so much about that. I know CJ Perry, the woman formerly known as Lana, she's been having some issues with some of these, for lack of a better term, creeps. Some of these folks out there who are booking folks and bringing them to shows, and they're being inappropriate, encouraging folks to shoot alcohol and do all kinds of unsavory things. Some of these creeps are even, trying sexually harassing some of the celebrities that they're booking. This is all terrible behavior, folks. And here on Duke Loves Rasslin, we're celebrating the 8th year anniversary of this show. I am all about credibility. We find guests who deliver services that are credible, whether it be the folks who are training pro wrestlers, whether it be Hall of Fame journalists, Peter Vesey, whether it be Hall of Fame wrestlers, people who actually did it. And now you even have somebody like Jeff here from Frizzle Promotions who represents celebrities, who represents reputable people, and he's delivering on a reputable service for them. Okay, so we're just fostering a healthy environment for all. If the superstar, if the celebrity is comfortable, if they feel good, it makes it so much easier for them to go to these meet and greets, these conventions, and be able to be nice and deliver on entertainment for you and your loved ones. There's nothing worse than seeing a celebrity and they're mean to a kid. But if that celebrity was treated right by their team, if they were treated right, which they would be with folks like Frizzle Promotions, then they're in the best of spirits. Now they can give you the best experience possible. And you just heard Devon Dudley not too long ago. Frizzle Promotions is a group that Devon himself had to chase down and say, hey, I want to work with you. Because he saw how professional Jeff and his team are. And, you couldn't get a better endorsement than that. I don't mean to embarrass you there, Jeff, but I had to tell that story.
It's all good. I just want to piggyback on what you said also with, certain celebrities going with certain, vendors. I believe that all talent should just do like a background check on who they're going to go with. Because sometimes people may say, hey, listen, vendor A is great and vendor A may not be great, but vendor B may be better than vendor A. But the thing is, they're just going according to, what people say. And what they need to do also, they just need, like I said, they need to do background checks and make sure they talk to these individuals one-on-one. It could be in person. It could be over the phone. I've said in the past that I think this business needs to be revamped in a way where, it's something like, you having a regular job. They do background checks because you never know who you're dealing with.
We are talking to Jeff, the founder and owner of Frizzle Promotions here on Duke Loves Rasslin. Jeff, I wonder, man, you just gave us a little bit of your resume there, and it's impressive. You have a degree, you worked at major companies like ESPN. You're used to being around celebrities, and that's part of the reason why you're able to provide them with the services that they need in order to be their best selves when they go out there. How do you handle conflict, man? How do you handle when things aren't going so well and you have to adjust?
I've always been a laid back person. I think it stems from, the work I currently do now. I'm in social services. I do have a master's degree in human behavior, and every day is always some type of conflict. And I go into the day with always, saying expected, unexpected, because you never know what happens, throughout the day. Because you can have a good day and, I might get a phone call from, a client and say, hey, listen, my mom died or my son died. I get those calls, once in a while, or, someone's been shot, and it's a lot of conflict. I'll say every week, but I won't say every day, but it's something I'm used to.
I tip my hat to you, man. That's not easy work, but you are a guy who is educated and you have a lot of experience, and hey, the proof is in the pudding. I appreciate it. I appreciate it 100%. I do want to make sure I give a shout out to your sister, who, she's also one of my favorite people out there, especially in this space. You and her work together. Talk to me about your sister, man.
Man, my sister is like, I would say like a right-hand man. She's like, like a best friend. My sister has overcome a lot of obstacles in life, and that's made her to the person that she is today. She's a strong, Black woman. I always commend her because there are certain things that she has came across in life that the average person would never come back from. And by her being strong and determined, that gets me going every day, because, no one has it bad. Like at the time, growing up, no one had a rough, beginning than her. And I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter if I have a bad day. I just think, to my sister, I'm like, you know what? It's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
I love that. A shout out to Erica. Absolutely. And she's somebody that, because she's been there, done that, seen it all many times over, she's able to connect with people on a different level. And you and her are opposites in a lot of ways, which actually works for the business, because if there's somebody who you may not be able to reach a certain way, you have Erica who can come up from behind, and she's able to reach them and still be able to deliver the best service. So it's amazing just the fact that you folks have all of those bases covered. And that's why you've been able to build so much trust and such a great reputation in the marketplace there. I mean, it's really cool. It's really, really cool. And it's not often that I have agents. What's the best way to describe who you are in that regard. Do you refer to yourselves as booking agents or what have you? What is the correct
Yeah,
terminology there?
we don't consider ourselves as booking agents. It's vendor. That's where the terminology comes from. When I first started, everybody said, "Okay, you're a vendor." I was like, "Okay, I guess I'm a vendor." So
What is a vendor? What is the general definition of a vendor? Is it
someone
from
that
your perspective?
someone that brings talent into any convention. It could be not just a convention. It could be a store. It can be somewhere in the community.
Right. So a vendor is somebody who's bringing these celebrities to events and making sure that they provide the celebrity with everything that they need in order to be able to give the experience to the customer. Right.
Yes.
That makes sense. That's cool. And again, folks, Frizzle Promotions, you probably have seen them at these big conventions out there, whether it be in the TV and movie entertainment world or at some of these sports conventions, wrestling conventions, or even, Comic Cons and things like that. I mean, these folks are everywhere. They cover the bases, no two ways about it. And their reputation is just through the moon. Everyone is talking about them. But hey, when you have a client list like the list that Frizzle Promotions have, it's no wonder. You know what I mean? Jeff, if there's anybody listening right now, especially someone who is in the entertainment business, whether they be an athlete, whether they be an actor, whether they be a pro wrestler, any of that world there where they have a large following, some of you streamers out there with large followings, some of you big time YouTubers and things like that, TikTokers and what have you. You never know. Maybe you need Frizzle Promotions to be the ones to book you for your next event. What's the best way folks can reach out to you, Jeff?
They can reach out to me on Instagram. It's FRIZZLE_promotions. Also, it's Frizzle Promotions on Facebook.
Great stuff. Now, what's the turnaround? If somebody reaches out to you, man, are they going to have to wait 10 years before they get a response back?
No, I'm usually fast on things like that. It's usually within, the day or so. It's not 2 days. I'll say an hour or two. I'm quick to respond to messages.
You hear that, brothers and sisters? So literally within a couple of days, you know what I mean? The expectation is a couple of days, as long as it's not some holiday weekend or what have you. But within a couple of days, you will get a response back from Frizzle Promotions. If you are a celebrity and you have folks out there that want to see you at your next event, if you want to be out there on the convention circuit, if you want to be booked for some of these special showings and what have you there, I think you should give Frizzle Promotions a call and see if there's some business that can be done there, because these folks are doing it right and they're inspiring the next generation of vendors out there. Be professional. Be a company that can provide a multitude of services, but it's top notch. It's top shelf, as I would say, right? Have people on staff that can relate to different types of people so that when issues arise, they can deal with it from different perspectives. This is all great stuff. And Frizzle Promotions is Duke Loves Rasslin approved. I'm telling you right now, I put my stamp on these folks. They're doing great business and I appreciate them. In fact, Jeff, you're going to be at the River City Wrestling Con, right?
Yes, I am.
Talk to me about who you folks are bringing out to River City.
So River City Wrestling Con is going to be in St. Augustine, Florida, from June 8th to June 9th. That's a Saturday and a Sunday. That's ran by the great people of Sam and Nick. They're very great in what they do. They know how to communicate with the audience. They're very professional. One of the greatest conventions you will ever go to. For that convention, I have 4 talent. My first talent is Booker T. You will know him as, one half of the Harlem Heat. The next talent I have is X-Pac. I have Ash by Elegance. We all know her as Dana Brooke from WWE. She will be there. Well, all 3 of those talents will be there on Saturday, June 8th. And on June 9th, I have one of my great friends. I call him a friend because it's like family. Devon Dudley. He's going to be there Sunday, June 9th.
River City Wrestling Con. Folks, you got to check out rivercitywrestlingcon.com for ticket information. Listen, they are selling out. A lot of their specialty passes are already sold out, so you don't want to wait. Don't be trying to wait. Do walk-up business. Maybe I'll do it, get it at the door. No. Hurry up. Get your tickets now. It's at the World Golf Village this year. It's going to be bigger than ever. The fact that Frizzle Promotions has 4 clients at least that they're bringing out to River City Wrestling Con, that lets you know how big of a deal River City Wrestling Con is, and it also lets you know how big of a deal Frizzle Promotions is. So it's pretty awesome there. Listen, Jeff, I appreciate you. I respect you, brother, and I just look forward to your continued success with Frizzle Promotions.
Yes, thank you very much for having me also, Duke.
Strictly for the culture. Brothers and sisters, you have seen the t-shirts, the hats, the hoodies, the mugs in the hands of some of your favorite pro wrestling stars, podcasters, and influencers out there. And now it's time. Visit strictlyfortheculture.ca and you too can be part of the movement. Bigger than sweatshirts and commercial success, Strictly for the Culture aims to build with like-minded people and elevate their position in the world through knowledge, self-love, and a desire to unite. So what are you waiting on? Visit strictlyfortheculture.ca. Do it for the love. Do it for the knowledge. Most importantly, folks, do it strictly for the culture. Till next time, be kind to yourselves and be kind to others. Take it away, Tony Schiavone.
This is Tony Schiavone, and we're desperately out of time on Duke Loves Rasslin.